Hello again. And for the new people in the room, my name is Kenneth Nixon. I am on the board of Safe and Just Michigan. I am also an exoneree from Wayne County. I spent 15 years and 9 months incarcerated for a crime I didn't commit. I am also the program coordinator for the Michigan Collaborative to End Mass Incarceration. Tonight, I will be your host. Hopefully everybody got an opportunity to eat, mingle, take some pictures. You saw a lot of talking going on, a lot of meet and greet. We appreciate that. That's part of the reason we got everybody in one room. This annual event is not just meant for free food. Even though food is one of the most important things, that is not the only reason we're here. So we hope you enjoy yourselves tonight. It is, as I look around the room, I see a lot of familiar faces, people I know, representing organizations I know. Michigan Liberation is here, Nation Outside is here, Just Leadership USA is here, Fresh Coast Alliance is here. We see some state reps in the room. Lots of familiar faces, lots and lots of familiar faces. Before inviting our first two speakers to the stage, I would like for you to draw your attention to two different gifts at the table. Please enjoy from Inside Out cookie and a chocolate from Confections with Convictions. Both businesses are second chance employers, and we are happy to share their treats with all of you. With that, I'd like to invite Anna Cohn and John Cooper to the stage, please. For those of you that don't know who these two are, Anna Cohn is the president of Safe and Just Michigan. The president of the board of Safe and Just Michigan, excuse me. And John Cooper is the executive director. Anna?
Thank you, Ken. Good evening, everyone. I'm really honored to be here this evening in the presence of so many change makers, thought leaders in this space. I remain awestruck that even with the challenges that we face in this field, we have all steadfastly and passionately continued to fight for a safe and just Michigan. The board, especially the executive board, Ken, Monica, our vice president, who I think I saw Monica, and Dr. Jennifer Cabina, who is our treasurer. I want to thank you guys so much and give a special shout out to the person who passed Ken the torch, Jonathan Sachs, who used to be our secretary and still beloved member. We've been keenly aware of the ups and downs that we've gone through with this collective work. But we still carry on. And over the last year, the executive committee has been very hard at work to build, rebuild, and create bridges to those who are most impacted by the deficiencies of the criminal justice system. Over the last year, we mourned the losses of two founding board members, Tony Benavides and Bill Tregay. I was fortunate to serve on the board of CAPS with both Tony and Bill. Tony was Lansing's first Latino mayor and served on the CAPS board until 2014. Bill, a leading criminologist, author, and professor, and former treasurer of CAPS, served on our board until 2020. I hope you'll join me in taking a moment of silence in memory of these passionate advocates. They will be missed. Since we last came together, our board has widened the search for new leaders with more diverse backgrounds and experiences. We held a multitude of stakeholder meetings to listen to honest feedback and implement changes to lift up the voices of our members. In addition to our restorative justice workshops and work groups for staff, executive board, and our partner organizations, we enlisted the help of a professional evaluator for executive leadership roles. We continue to grow as intentionally as possible and have launched a strategic planning process on the heels of a diversity, equity, and inclusion evaluation through the Michigan Nonprofit Association. After this assessment, we subsequently hired a DEI consultant to help guide us through our new strategic planning process. Our commitment to recruiting diverse and broader leadership has yielded results worth celebrating. We're thrilled to have Ken Nixon as our newest board member, and for our 2 new staff members, Cecilia Zavala and Cassie LaRue. We're also very pleased to share that in recognition of her hard work and strong coalition building, our very own Kate McCracken has been elevated to the role of Chief Operating Officer. Coming later this year, we'll be recruiting for another director-level position to deeply engage with our colleagues and comrades. Stay tuned as we seek out a director of outreach and community partnerships. I want to thank our board for another year of action and reflection. Thank you to my close colleagues, including Monica and Ken and Jennifer, and thank you to our board members, founding member Gary Ashby, Eileen Hayes, Joe Haveman, Craig DeRoche, and Sherry Ware. We look forward to sharing new names and faces of our evolving leadership with you at our next annual meeting. Well-intended board members are only as useful as those entrusted to execute the critical tasks that make us who we are. I'm incredibly grateful for our team at Safe and Just Michigan who work day to day to ensure we're meeting the commitment we've made to you all. Thank you to our staff. Thank you to our executive director, John Cooper, for leading this amazing team and helping guide key policy efforts that have made a huge difference in criminal justice reform. As we continue to highlight and celebrate our successes, I'm so pleased to welcome John Cooper.
Thanks, Anna and Ken, and thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. It's a real privilege, and we appreciate you taking time outside of your busy weeks to come here to gather and reflect a little bit. I hope it's an uplifting and energizing evening, because I think that's something we all need right now. This work isn't easy, and it has been made harder by relentless fear-mongering and dishonesty about crime from political opportunists, and by media that would rather cover both sides of debates than evaluate what's true. Stepping back a bit, though, I think we have a lot to celebrate. When I joined CAPS 5.5 years ago, prospects for meaningful legislative change seemed bleak. Presumptive parole had been torpedoed personally by AG Bill Schuette, who was expected to be the next governor at the time. The Senate Judiciary Committee, chaired by former Eaton County Sheriff Rick Jones, was known informally as the place where reform bills go to die. But in 2018, things started to shift. With the help of the Alliance for Safety and Justice and many people in this room, we passed a slightly modified version of presumptive parole. That same year, the legislature passed Representative Pagel's bill to permit people with felony convictions from working at the MDOC, or to permit people to work at the MDOC, which is creating an opportunity for peer mentorship models, for reentry, and many other exciting things that folks here I know are working on now. That same year, Governor Snyder, of all people, signed an executive order removing the box from state forms. In the next session, things really took off. Schuette lost the governor's race to Gretchen Whitmer. Rick Jones and Tanya Shoemaker were term limited out of the Senate. And that is the only time I will say nice things about term limits. But all this set the stage for the passage of Clean Slate for kids, eliminating good moral character clauses from occupational licensing requirements, restoring SNAP benefits to people with old drug felony convictions, and passing 19 bills based on the recommendations of the Joint Task Force on jails and pretrial incarceration, covering topics from ending debt-based driver's license suspensions, to reducing probation terms, to decriminalizing many low-level offenses. That was all really good stuff. It was the high water mark, unfortunately. But this session, we and a coalition of partners, many of whom are in this room, helped pass bills to make first offense DUI eligible for expungement, and help secure a 40% reduction in MDOC's phone rates, which we're hoping to improve upon again. We are going to continue to press on that because there is more room for those to go down. We also set the table for several important legislative campaigns next year, including bail reform, ending juvenile life without parole, and second look sentencing, which you all are going to hear a lot more about in the coming months. Not bad for what I think we can agree is a tough legislative environment. I'll also say, over the last 5 years, we have also seen significant growth in the field, from new organizations like Michigan Liberation to new leaders like Ashley Golden and Tony Gant at Nation Outside. Organizations like Safe and Just, yeah, you can give those guys a shout out, it's okay. Nation Outside is having what looks like a really awesome event next Thursday, by the way. Other organizations like Safe and Just, like the Michigan Center for Youth Justice, AFSC have grown and brought on talented new staff and started exciting new initiatives. We've also seen new leadership emerge in philanthropy, like the Michigan Justice Fund, which Milliken Clark helped start, and Ashley Carter, who's great, is running. With all of this growth, we are a much bigger and stronger movement than we were 5 years ago. And we are just getting started. This work could not have happened without the strong on-the-ground supporters and partner organizations across the state like you all. Thank you for that support, and we look forward to working with you going forward.
Thank you, Anna and John. We appreciate your leadership and dedication to the work that we do. This is not easy work. This is not simple work. It's very hard to make a lot of the changes that we've been successful at over the last few years. Very, very hard. There was a point where a lot of society had a closed mind to reform. As John stated, there were a lot of people that fought against a lot of these changes. They put up walls, they put up hurdles, they threw cones in the road. We overcame all of that. We overcame all of that. This room is a representation of what it looks like when we overcome all of that. I don't take what I do lightly. This, to me, is very, very personal. And I don't mean that in a smug way. I mean that from the heart. There's a lot of people in this room that are justice impacted. A lot. Many of you are my friends. Many of you I knew before we were wearing suits and tailored outfits. Many of you I knew when we didn't have any hope. We didn't know what tomorrow would bring. We couldn't fathom the thought of having someone bring a tray of food, a plate of food to our tables. Where we are now, to see where we are now from where we came from, change is possible. Being a friend sometimes means more than just showing up. We hold each other accountable. We make sure that everybody's doing the right thing. Your win is my win. Your loss is my loss. These legislative reforms that we've been able to push over the last few years, collectively, that's a win for all of us. Some of us may not have been as hands-on as others, but that win affects each and every one of us in one way or another. There's some people in this room that have emerged as leaders. Very good leaders that come from a place of no hope. That alone shows you that people deserve second chances. That alone tells you that prison should not be the answer for all of society's problems. The person that I plan to introduce next is a person that I know from inside. He's a brother, he's a friend. He pushes the movement forward in ways that are incomparable to anybody else. There's been a lot of change over the last few years. Thank you to everyone in this room that was open-minded enough to give justice-impacted people a chance. You took shots on us, shots that were not guaranteed, shots that could have failed. But each and every one of us in this room rose to the occasion. We took that torch and we ran with it. Ronnie Waters, everybody.
Hello, everybody. As he said, I'm Ronnie Waters. and to most of y'all, that probably don't mean much, but I just like the way that sounds. Okay, yeah, I see so many people in this room that reached out to help me when I came home. There's so many people. Everybody just like, yeah, man, what can I do for you, man? So that's just a beautiful feeling to have such support. I see my good friends Amy Mandel and Michelle Rubin and her husband back. They on this committee in West Bloomfield Social Justice Committee, and these people like just pull me in and say, hey, we want you to work with us. And so, I don't know what kind of impressions or ideas you have about West Bloomfield, but I'm telling you, it's some really solid people there. And thank you, Amy. Okay. And I just want to quickly, wasn't buzzing like that on you, but okay. Yeah, I want to quickly shout out to my man Leon over here. Leon did 50 years, and he just got out recently, and stand up, Lee. Absolutely, that's my man. And the thing about it, he doesn't want to get out. He want to come out here and he want to go to work, because tell me, like I tell people, that we left a lot of good people behind, and there's so much we need to do for them, So that's why we out here working. That's why Leon came to Lansing, because he wanted to hook up with people that are doing that work. Okay, yeah. Working safe and just, and the safe and just people have been wonderful to me. They, a lot of areas where I was in the cave for 40 years. So a lot of areas that I was short on, they just helped me to progress and build and come up to speed. Everybody's been helpful. Everybody. John Cooper, that's my man. He's been helpful. Kate McCracken, everybody. So, absolutely. Yeah. For the past year, I've been working on a Safe and Just project to end life without parole, and working hard, man, trying to gather support and pass this bill, man, to end the practice of sentencing kids to die in prison. That's crazy, man. It's so many conservative states, so many what some people call backward states. They already did away with life without parole for juveniles. States like Wyoming, the Dakotas, Texas, and Michigan just dragging their feet, man. So we got to do something about that. Unfortunately, the bills will not be voted on this year. That was hard for me to take when John gave me that news. But at the same time, I know that there's a lot of fighters at Safe and Just, so we're not gonna quit. We're just gonna regroup, and we're coming back stronger, and we're gonna make it happen in the next session. So everybody that like me who wants this practice to end, 2023 is gonna be that year. Okay. And we and we put a project together 14 juveniles. We brought them into downtown Detroit with our communication specialist, Barbara, and our social media specialist, Ashley. You know, we brought them down there and said, we're going to let them tell their story. You know, these are people that came out and are shining. So they're the best examples. You know, just sit back, put the mic in front of them, the camera, and let them tell their story. And that's what we did, man. And this one guy that he's in the room, and most of you know him, Ed Baraka Sanders. Show the video. It'll speak for itself.
I go by the name of Baraka. Baraka signifies a change, rebirth in my life. It means blessings. My life is full of blessings in spite of some of the serious mistakes I've made in the past. I am 64 years old, will be 65 in January. I spent 43 and a half years in prison. I was just before Halloween, just after my 17th birthday, I came home just before my 60th birthday. Even though I maintained my innocence today, I was convicted not as a principal, as an assessor. You know, I was said to have told someone to commit an act, okay? And I never done that. When the police interrogated me and said, we know that you haven't killed anybody, but we know that you know who you did. And they promised me we'll make sure you do a whole lot of time. And they done just that. What it means to commit a crime as a youth, or to commit wrong as a youth, it means that one day you will grow out of that folly. You will grow out of that spontaneous behavior, that type of sentence will tell you in society, everyone that you deal with here on this earth is incapable of forgiving you. Everyone. But I still hold myself accountable and responsible for having a firearm in that car at night when Jimmy got killed. I also hold myself accountable for having left the scene of an argument and went around the corner and allowed that firearm to be taken out the trunk of the car that I was operating. I hold myself accountable for moving back to that scene. And when I was in prison, I became aware of the harm that I had did. Prison is not the answer to everything. And we live in a democracy. It's definitely not the answer in a democracy. We, all of us, be able to give each other a sense of mercy and forgiveness. Learn to forgive, even though your work fails. Thank you.
The whole project can be seen on our social media and our electronic newsletter coming soon. Later this month, I'm told. So look forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. That guy that was showed on the film, I know him. Many of you in this room know him. I've seen him advocate on levels that I've seen no other person. He brings to the table a level of experience that not many of us can speak to. The growth that it takes to be able to speak your truth, honestly, respectfully, without hurting anybody's feelings in the midst of that. To be able to still feel that same pain 40 plus years later. Those tears were real. That talk was real. And you know what makes it real? It came from a human being. There's many people in this world, there's many people in this industry that don't believe human beings should get a second chance. Here at Safe and Just, that's not our belief. We will do everything humanly possible to make sure that prison is not the answer to society's problems. The next award that will be presented is the Milliken Award. The Milliken Award is named for Michigan's longest-serving governor and is given to public officials who show dedication to enacting policy changes that create criminal justice reform. After initially supporting the tough on crime agenda in the early 70s, Governor Milliken became a champion of repealing mandatory minimums and other harsh measures, and spoke powerfully about how they had done more harm than good. The person presenting this award is another justice-impacted person. Josh Ho, everybody.
Thanks so much, Ken. As mentioned, my name is Josh Ho. I'm the Senior Policy Analyst here at Safe and Just Michigan, also formerly incarcerated here in the state of Michigan. And you know, a lot of times I say it's my honor, and I know for most of the justice impacted folks in here, you know, there's probably some difference between when we say it's my honor and when we really mean it. This is one of those times when I really mean it. It is a real honor to present the William B. Milliken Award tonight to one of my favorite legislators, Representative Tenisha Yancey. I first got to know Representative Yancey when she was a member of the Michigan Task Force on Jails and Pretrial Incarceration, and I could tell immediately that she had a great heart for Detroit and for all of the incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people in Detroit and throughout the state. Representative Yancey has a unique perspective for a legislator. She is both a former prosecutor and is herself directly impacted. She has seen the problems of mass incarceration across her community and has always worked very hard to create meaningful changes in our state. Representative Yancey has been doing this for years, and she did great work moving the bulk of the bills that passed out of the jails task force, which are making a massive difference in our state. One of those bills got rid of people being incarcerated for driver's license suspensions unrelated to bad driving, which was one of the largest drivers of incarceration in our state. But to give you more of a feeling for her work, here is a list of some of the bills that Representative Yancey has sponsored or co-sponsored just in this last session. House Bill 4091. This was expungement legislation for people who are the victims of human trafficking. House Bill 4291 and 92 to require certain law enforcement officers to be subject to Freedom of Information requests. House Bill 4488 and 89 to restore good time. I'm sure some people have heard of that before. House Bill 5013 to eliminate no-knock warrants for those of us who remember Breonna Taylor. House Bill 4220, expungement for first-time OWI offenses, which passed in a very tough session. House Bill 5436 through 5441, which is the bail reform package many of us have been working on to pass since the task force finished up their work a few years ago, and hopefully will get done next year. There are many more bills that she has worked on and many more that have passed. But I do want to take a second to highlight a bill that she and I have worked on together, which is relatively new, House Bill 6363, which will eliminate phone fees entirely in our prisons and jails. We both believe that it is long past time for Michigan families to stop being penalized for having the terrible luck to have a loved one who is incarcerated, and that people in prison can't afford these crazy phone fees. We're lucky that the governor went along and helped us get the rates from 14 cents to 8.7 cents, but in this next session, we want to get it down to zero. Just about a week ago, about 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, the state of California passed a version of a bill very similar to this that got phone fees down to zero. As the Washington Post editorial board put it, right after that bill passed, lowering phone costs could save taxpayers money and improve public safety. State officials should continue to bring down costs for the incarcerated in whatever ways they can. This is the time for us to do this in Michigan. When I was asked earlier this year who I wanted to nominate for this year's Milliken Award, it took me less than 2 seconds to suggest Representative Yancey. And I could not be more thrilled to present her with the 2022 Milliken Award tonight. Representative Yancey.
Good evening, everyone. I am really honored to have been a recipient of the Milliken Award. I have a few talking points here that I'm probably going to go off script a lot. Emily, raise your hand. Thank you for helping me tonight. However, there has been quite a few things that were stated tonight that I would like to just kind of comment on, right? So I'm going to go probably completely off script. Completely off script. Usually I try to make sure that I share with people, for disclosure, that I am a two-time felon convict. I was convicted of 2 felonies, 2 misdemeanors, mostly prior to the time I was 18. My father was killed by a drunk driver, so when my bill passed to allow drunk drivers to receive expungements, it was really growth for me, because I honestly wanted the man to die in prison, right? Because he killed my father. But as a 13, 14-year-old adolescent, those were my thoughts then. As and we're not going to tell my age, but as a fully grown woman, I have different thoughts now, that 2 families should not have had to be ruined completely from a mistake. He was a drunk driver. He killed my father. It was not deliberate. And he honestly would not be eligible, had that happened in Michigan, for the expungement, right? But we got a lot of pushback from that, because people don't seem to grow past their hurt, past their grief, and it's more of the first time it was vetoed by the governor, because she got a lot of pushback from organizations like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and it's like we really need to address our mental health, right, and make sure that we are okay and in a place that we can be comfortable to make sure that other people are not suffering the way that we continue to suffer because of a loss in our families. And so when I sit here and I think about the fact that it really hurts my heart to hear that this man has served 50 years in prison, and when I look at him, he doesn't look like he's too much over 65. So, which means that he was probably convicted as a very, very young man. And unfortunately, especially as I served in the legislature, it is a place of unforgiveness, right? Here I am, I stand here as a state representative, as a former prosecuting attorney. Wave your hand, Chastity. Chastity Youngblood, I served in the prosecutor's office with a few years ago as an assistant prosecuting attorney. That was the only place that I've ever worked at that I did not disclose, except for to Kim Worthy, and that was only to protect her, who had hired me as a convicted felon, as an assistant prosecuting attorney. So Chastity, when we worked, probably didn't know this until I got on the campaign trail and I started to share my story. However, just as recent as 2 days ago in the Detroit Free Press, there was a horrible article still being written about me, despite the fact that I've worked on criminal justice reform, have worked as an assistant prosecutor, have worked as a state legislator, will be a judge in 36th District Court in January. And yet, the media still finds something very negative to say, which means that we're a very unforgiving place. Even in Michigan, I honestly have quoted a couple times that Michigan is kind of the new South sometimes. So to see that we are holding people accountable for mistakes that they made at 17 and 18 years old, and I didn't murder anybody, right? I have 2 felonies, 2 misdemeanors from 17 and 18 years old before I could even vote, but yet and still 34, how many years later? 22 years later, it's still being written. 22 years later, it's still being written as something negative, and so we really have to take a deeper look. Although we've worked on great legislation, although those bills that Josh, thank you, Josh, for recommending me, although those bills were great, we still have so much work to do here in Michigan. So as I go on to the bench, I definitely will continue to work with organizations like Michigan Safe and Just Michigan, and other organizations to ensure that we continue to do this work so that other people are not affected by the mistakes that they made at 17 and 18. So thank you so much. Oh, wait a minute, I gotta get my award.
So, myself personally, I've been home less than 2 years. And I've gotta give kudos to Tenisha. And the reason I say that is for a strange reason. I'll give you a quick story and we can move on to the next. But when I first came home, we were, as an exoneree, we were running into all sorts of legislative problems, right? And we meet once a month as exonerees. And I remember we're in this meeting, all of us exonerees are on Zoom, and somebody says, wait a minute, the state rep is logging in. I'm like, what state rep? What the hell are you talking about? They're like, Tenisha Yancey. I'm like, what's she want? They're like, just hold on, she's logging in. So she gets on, and I think it was her clerk or somebody at the time, and they're like, just hold for 1 second. The rep will be with you in 1 minute. I'm like, she jumped on our meeting, and we got to hold on? Like, what? So a few minutes later, I hear some huffing and puffing, and she's like, hey, it's Rep Yancey. I heard you guys were having some legislative problems. What can I help with? Then she's like, wait a minute, hold on, I'll be right back. We're voting right now. I'm like, what? So she comes back to the phone, and she's like, all right, tell me real quick, but you got to hurry up because we're still voting. So we explained what was happening, and she's like, okay, no problem. We can get that bill drawn up. And just like that, we had a bill. Not a single person before her that had heard all of our peril. Now, mind you, let's be clear. I'm the 27th exoneree out of the Wayne County Conviction Integrity Unit. That means 26 people before me had the exact same problem. And nobody came to their aid. Not a single person. Tenisha showed up. In the middle of voting, on the floor, sounded like she was huddled in a corner somewhere, but she showed up. I was. But she showed up. I think that speaks to the integrity of who she is as a representative in our state. She was looking. She was looking to solve a problem that so many other legislators had ignored. In a room with such a small community, there's not very many exonerees. How she got word of our problem, I don't know. But the fact that she found her way to us, we didn't go looking for her, she found her way to us and was willing to solve a problem. Respect. I would now like to have Safe and Just board member Monica Janer come to present our inaugural Life of Service Award. This new award is designed to recognize a person who has committed over 25 years of service to social justice issues in Michigan. Monica Janer.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, guys. My name is Monica Janer, and I do sit on the Safe and Just Board of Directors. I am also the program manager of a program called Arrow, a reentry program up here in Lansing, Michigan, as well as I also have a program for diversion and alternatives to prison and jail. So I spend a lot of my time trying to make sure people do remain in the community. Since I made criminal justice reform my life's work because of my 28 years in prison, I couldn't be more pleased to present Safe and Just Michigan's first ever Lifetime of Service Award. This award recognizes someone who has dedicated at least 25 years of social justice or criminal justice issues in Michigan. And when it came to deciding who to give this award to, our choice was obvious. Safe and Just Michigan's own membership service specialist, Dena Anderson. And I want to tell you the rest of this story about this wonderful woman here, because I learned a few things. To be honest, We could have just as easily given her an award for her lifetime of service. Because if you know her, you know that she has crammed many lives into one. You may be surprised to know that she actually started her career as a nun. On the other hand, if you understand how much she cares for the well-being of others, that might not surprise you at all. She's obviously still following their footsteps. And honestly, she deserves a saint recognition. You might be surprised to learn that after leaving that path, she worked as an English teacher. But again, if you benefited from her proofreading and gentle suggestions to improve your writing, are we okay? To improve your writing, that won't surprise you either. We may not realize that she worked for the state legislature as the executive secretary to the Lansing Urban League. However, if you heard her keen insights to pending legislation or ever been around, astounded by the volume of fact and statistics that she tracks, that sounds about right. That's why, despite all these things, Dena isn't the type of person to talk herself up at all. That's why we asked people who work most closely with Dena to describe her, and this is what they said. She's nonstop. I've never met a more hardworking or tenacious person. She never loses her energy, and she shows empathy and sympathy the entire time, no matter what she's talking about. About that, Dena is unique, not only because she is our longest-serving team member since 2003, but because she has cultivated friendships with numerous people who are incarcerated. She knows many people incarcerated on life sentences by name, knows their story, knows the details of their sentence, and when they are up for their parole hearing. She tracks how many parole hearings are scheduled per month and whether that number is rising or falling. She fields phone calls from people in prison across the state who have turned to her for comfort or to dispel rumors. I bet that was a lot of phone calls. To get legislative updates or to simply have someone to talk to. She was even answering JPay messages as she was on medical leave. But not only do people who are incarcerated trust her, so do other justice reform advocates around the state. It's not rare to hear somebody say the state doesn't track that statistic, but I think Dena at Safe and Just does. Simply put, Dena has been a friend to talk to, a shoulder to cry on, a brain to pick and more, all while expecting no glory for herself in return. This recognition is long overdue. Dena, please not only accept this award, but all of our gratitude.
I know it's kind of a cliche to say this, but this is very humbling. I guess part of it is because I've just lived so long. Thank you. I want to accept this award on behalf of my mentors, all the people that I've known in prison, many of whom have been released, and many more of whom are still hoping for freedom. I should name people. I won't name prisoners or incarcerated friends, but I will name my mentors, Barb Levine, who started this whole thing off, Laura Sager, who took us to a new level, Kate McCracken, and John Cooper. I'm also just so inspired by all of our formerly incarcerated friends, many of whom are here tonight. It's just amazing to see the good that they're doing and just their proof, as Ken said, that there's a lot of humanity and a desire to make a difference in the world still inside our prisons. People ask me all the time, are you ever going to retire? And I think a minute and I'm like, still too much work to do. I don't see myself retiring. Who did I talk with this evening that said he was back at work a few days after his heart attack, and they said, "Why are you here?" He said, "Well, I'm not dead yet." I, again, thank everyone. Appreciate it. I didn't really recognize all the things that Monica said as belonging to me, but it's humbling. Yeah.
Now that she's safely back at her seat. We would now like to present our 2 Justice Warrior Awards. These newly designed awards are presented to an individual and/or organization demonstrating extraordinary work during the course of the year to advance social justice reform in their community or in Michigan. Our next presenter is Kate McCracken, Safe and Just Michigan's Deputy Director. To the stage, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kate McCracken, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer. I got to get used to it. It's a new title. Thank you. At Safe and Just Michigan. It's lovely to see so many familiar faces that I've come to know over the years, especially friends and partners that I'm meeting for the first time this evening due to the pandemic. Tonight, I have the honor to present Tony Gant with our new Justice Warrior Award. That's right. We designed this award to recognize an individual and an organization demonstrating extraordinary work during the course of the year to advance social justice reform in their community or Michigan. Tony exemplifies extraordinary. I came to know Tony 2 years ago as I had the pleasure of working closely with our partners at Nation Outside. If by chance there's anyone in the room that doesn't know Nation Outside, it's an organization entirely led by justice-impacted and formerly incarcerated people with the collective wisdom of over 350 years lived experience. Nation Outside is an impressive movement that's awe-inspiring and is positioned to transform Michigan's justice system in the coming years. It's not surprising that Tony is a member of the leadership team at Nation Outside. For those of you who have not had the opportunity to meet Tony, I'll tell you that he's an impressive man in so many ways. He is a father, a small business owner, an author, a friend, and a fiercely committed advocate for social justice. All of these things are extraordinary. But what we really want to highlight for you this evening is Tony's tireless and selfless efforts to create policies and systems that allow justice-impacted people to thrive in their communities. In 2021, he single-handedly reignited the efforts to advance a fair chance housing ordinance in Jackson that had stalled due to the pandemic. Tony led numerous strategies to reignite the campaign, including a petition securing 104 local signatures, co-authoring an op-ed with then Mayor Derek Dobbs, and generating numerous earned media hits. Through leveraging relationships with local leadership and mobilizing boots on the ground, this ordinance was adopted in February 2021, and it protects justice-impacted people from housing discrimination. That good work didn't stop there. Tony is now working with his colleagues across the state to advance similar local policies in Flint, Inkster, Lansing, and East Lansing. That's right, Wonder Twin. If that was not remarkable enough, Tony is on a mission to educate justice-involved people about their right to vote in Michigan. He debunks prevalent myths about their voting rights, and as a servant leader, he works alongside the community he serves to ensure people with a criminal record own their voice and lifted up in state and local elections. When I asked people to describe him in one word, some people shared, Tony is dedicated, he's hardworking, loyal, and unwavering. All of this is true. But for me, the word that best describes him is integrity. Integrity is choosing courage over comfort, choosing what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy, and choosing to practice our values rather than simply professing them. It's my pleasure to work alongside Tony and welcome him to the stage to receive this award. Tony, you're such an amazing person, and I'm honored and grateful to call you my friend. Everyone, please give him a round of applause.
So, wow, right? That was a lot. Thank you, Kate. Thank you to the planning committee for nominating me. Thank you to Safe and Just. Thank you to my Nation Outside team. Yeah. They are who make me great, my team. And I want to dedicate this award to my grandmother, Mady Mitchell, right? Because she showed me what love meant. She loved me all through that prison bit when them people said I wasn't nothing and I had to say goodbye to her on the phone. She showed me what love is. That's why I fight so hard. I fight with love because I believe in the people in society said they are nothing. So I love all my formerly incarcerated people. I believe in y'all, and y'all gonna be great because I'm gonna push y'all. Peace.
I feel like I want to cry. They just took us to church right then. Hey, Kate, don't throw that speech away. I need it when he runs for president. For anybody in this room that does not know who Nation Outside is, stay tuned. Coming to a neighborhood near you. Our next presenter, our final award presenter is Ashley Bellin, Safe and Just Michigan social media specialist, who will present the second Justice Warrior Award.
Hello. Thank you. I'm immensely grateful to be here speaking to you all tonight, so thank you all so much for joining us. It's my honor to present to tonight our new award for Justice Warrior for an organization. This award was designed to recognize a group that goes above and beyond in striving for social justice in their community in Michigan. So tonight we are pleased to present this award to the Muskegon-based Reentry and Recovery Collaborative Fresh Coast Alliance. So I've been with Safe and Just a little under a year, so working as their social media specialist during the height of the pandemic, I got to know Fresh Coast Alliance through our digital media collaborations. So one of my first assignments here was our jointly produced weekly live broadcast, the Criminal Justice Cafe, or CJ Cafe, of which many of you in this room, I believe, have been guests. And this was really a great introduction to this work for me. Not only, I got to hear from powerful decision makers in Michigan's CJ space, as well as people with lived experience that were just beginning their reentry and recovery journey. And logging on every week, talking to all these varied stakeholders, one of the things that struck me most, other than just the power of collaboration, really was the ease and charisma of Fresh Coast Alliance's Nate Johnson. And just the way that he treated each and every single guest with the same level of respect and curiosity for what they bring to the conversation, regardless of their position. So Fresh Coast Alliance began as a church ministry welcoming people home from incarceration in the Muskegon area. A small group of concerned citizens attempting to provide for the safety, dignity, community, and unmet social needs for this underserved population. They now operate a training center that offers support groups, mentoring, job training, placement, and retention services, 6 residential facilities that house people reentering society from incarceration needing addiction treatment services, a counseling practice, and a church. This growth, I think, has largely been achieved, at least through my perspective, through their unrelenting unwillingness to accept the stigma that's typically attached to former drug users or formerly incarcerated people. Or in their words, their ability to see each person as created in the image of God. So Fresh Coast Alliance has not kind of quietly entered Muskegon, relying on the generosity of like-minded funders, but I feel like they've very much boldly and rightfully asserted themselves as community members and their clients as community members with unmet needs. They start their conversations and their focus from that point of view, and I think they've seen a lot of success because of that. Forming unlikely partnerships with county commissioners, the county prosecutor, Michigan Department of Corrections, again, unwilling to accept that beginning point of stigmatization. They've widely expanded reentry services in Muskegon County. I worked on a project with Fresh Coast Alliance, a video storytelling project from the Numbers, who I think Evie Jordan was here in the room. I know you were a participant, but shared a wonderful story. But during that, I just learned, I learned of Fresh Coast Alliance's reentry coach, Michael Duttler, and his journey of spending 26 years incarcerated, graduating through the Calvin Prison Initiative with a social work degree, and participating in that project, and he spoke of the concept of Ubuntu, which means that it's only in each other that we see our humanity. And I felt like that very much embodied Fresh Coast Alliance, because they truly do treat every single person with the same level of dignity and respect, and I think that is the basis for their success, because they set people up to be able to break stigma with their actions. So please welcome Nate from Fresh Coast Alliance.
Thank you so much. Wow, I think this is the first award I've ever gotten. So this is pretty cool. I like this. Appreciate Safe and Just. Appreciate the work that you guys do. It's amazing. And we at Fresh Coast, when we started Fresh Coast, Joe and I, my right-hand man, he wasn't feeling good, so he couldn't be here today, or he would have been here with me. When we started this, we didn't have any intentions on, this getting to where it's at, where it's taken on a life of its own. And then 6.5 years later, here we are, and the hurdles that we've been able to overcome, the mountains that we've not, sometimes if you can't go over them, you got to go through them. And we don't take no as an answer. And we believe that we are what we call ourselves as sanctified solutionaries. Okay? Now everyone knows, especially guys who've done time with me, I'm unashamedly gave my life to Jesus Christ when I was inside. But when I came home, even though I had done that, I still got my ability to hustle and I still got my ability to recruit, but I'm using it for a good cause now. So instead of helping to destroy people's lives, I'm helping to empower and encourage people, right? And I think that with our whole squad, we truly believe that we're here to change the course of world history. And with all the stuff that we've been able to do, and one of the newest things we started that I love, that's my baby, we started our entrepreneurship program, Fresh Start Business Alliance. So now we're able to take former hustlers who already have a broker's mentality, they already know how to hustle. We're taking it and we're sending them. I brought our business team together last year. We developed it's a Shark Tank style entrepreneurship program. At the end, there's a pitch event. You get to pitch your business plan and can win seed capital to launch your business. And even in our first cohort, we had 15. We got guys, men and women. Occidental Eats ice cream parlor, sandwich shop is already going. 490 Bakery. Some of the Muskegon people know. You raise them up, send them out. Raise them up, send them out, and let's go and change the world. And just like Tony said, I want to piggyback off of what he said. Every single person, listen, if we've been there, every single person, if you've been there, we don't take no as an answer. People can say, hey, you can't do this, you can't do this. I've always asked, I said, look, when you find that group of people, come introduce them to me because I want to. You understand what I'm saying? Destroyed everything that they said that I couldn't do. Okay? Came home 12 and a half years. When me and my partner, when we hooked up, here we are 6.5 years, 25 employees. I got my GED at St. Louis Correctional Facility. We own and operate a therapy practice. The first person I hired was someone who had a PhD. Again, I got my GED inside the prison system. You understand? We got 8 homes. We just bought 2 more. When she said 6, we got 8. Church planted, the whole 9 yards. It's a one-stop shop. We're here to reinvent re-entry, and we're going to do it. And I'm thankful for the partnerships, Nation Outside, Safe and Just, all the organizations, because it's going to be as we collectively come together, partner with one another, we can change the course of world history on this. Thank you, guys. Love you.
Listen, everybody. Nate, brilliant man. Brilliant. I met him a couple of weeks ago for the first time. I went to an event, and this was the first event that I've ever been to where they were passing out raffle tickets as you walk in. All right? I'm like, all right, I'll take it. I go sit down, and then the raffle starts. It took me about 20 minutes to figure out that they were giving a present to everybody that came in. So they tricked us with the raffle tickets into believing like you're special. Here's your special ticket. And then next thing you know, like everybody got it. I was like, all right, keep it up, Nate. Keep it up. Very good trickery, my man. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our keynote speaker, Lester Young.
Detroit! What it do, Detroit? What's going on? Everyone's doing good? What I didn't hear is y'all traditional greeting. What up, though? Detroit! I didn't hear that. What up, though? I just wanted to just say thanks to Safe and Just for the invite, and thank you all for taking this time to attend this beautiful event. It's always a humbling experience to be able to stand in a room with giants, people who have defined the odds to become who they are. It's like we have been pushed into this trench, and they say that we were supposed to die in this trench. And we all rose out of that stronger people. And we celebrate that. So this is what we're talking about, celebrating growth today, right? It's about how do we come out of some of the most darkest places in our lives to be who we are today. And that's what we want to talk about. Me, as I said, my name is Lester Young. I'm a formerly incarcerated person from South Carolina, someone who served a total of 22 years and 5 months inside of the South Carolina prison system. Just like some of you who are formerly incarcerated, I was sentenced to life at a very young age for killing someone over a drug dispute. When I was sent into the South Carolina prison system, they say that you had less than a 3% chance of ever being free. Just like some of you in here who were sentenced to natural life as a juvenile, you had less than 3%. But in some way in that, you found the strength, the resilience to be able to push through all of those dark days. One of the things that we have in this room that is a very common thread is that we all who are formerly incarcerated know how this looks. It's not the best looking picture. But all of you have one of these who are formerly incarcerated. You all have one of these IDs. That does not reflect, it shows the eyes of that young man there. Broken, feeling dejected, thought about suicide, thought about giving up. Just like some of you. We celebrate today. Because for some reason, we found something to push through. To push through. I remember sitting in that prison cell, man, thinking about, like, should I go and take my own life? Because of the hellishness and the dehumanization that came with incarceration. I remember sitting in my cell, holding and collecting pills that I was thinking about popping to take my own life. But it was something in me, just like all of you who are formerly incarcerated. It was something in you that said, don't give up. But I know the thought entered your mind. Because some of us said, man, I would rather die to be treated less than a human being inside of this system. Especially for those who have been exonerated, to be sitting in the system knowing that you're actually innocent. And the system telling you guilty. So when we see this picture here, I want y'all brothers and sisters who are formerly incarcerated to see that picture. And for those who are not formerly incarcerated, I want you to look at that picture. And I want you to think about, like, these are the examples that you don't see. See, family members and organizers and organizations, you don't see that side when we feel broken. When we in that place where we just want to just like, man, I'm done. Or when our family members come to see us, we got to create this fake smile. Like to go in visitation room with our best outfit on and we walk in there, we got to smile. But deep down, we're broken. family members, they don't see it because we hide it so well. We hide it so well. They don't understand that pain. That's why I love our fraternity. Meaning the formerly incarcerated family. I love that fraternity that we have. Because in that we understand, we speak an unspoken language to one another. I think you look at a brother or sister across the room and look at you now and be like, you understand? You're like, yeah, I got you, brother. But I know how it felt to be in that cell. I feel that. When people out here fighting for solitary confinement, I look at a brother and say, bro, you wash your underwears in that sink too? He's like, yeah, I did, bro. He didn't say it or she didn't say it. He's like, yeah, I did it. But you felt that you had to fight back the thoughts of killing yourself in prison. Some of you be like, bro, yeah, I did. It's through my faith. So as I said, how I transform my life, serving life. I want you all to look at this. Healing from past hurt. Y'all see there's a caterpillar, right? How many, when you see a caterpillar, what you plan on doing when you see that? You want to stump it? You want to kill it? You want to, get off me? That's how people are inside of a system. We're looked at as this caterpillar is hairy, it's ugly, it's all of the things that you want to cast away. But in that caterpillar, there's a potential greater than its physical presence right now. Just like every one of us who are formerly incarcerated, we all were this person that, as I said, healing from your past hurt. We were all in this place right here. Dejected, broken, feeling lost. The society saying we're the worst of the worst. But they didn't see the potential. Just like most people, when they see this caterpillar, they don't associate it with anything other than some ugly, hairy thing, insect that I got to get away from. Every man and woman who is sitting inside of these prisons or formerly incarcerated, we all have the potential to be great people. We all are. Just before I came, Nate mentioned that he got his GED in prison. Right? How many of you brothers and sisters in here got a GED in prison and went on and that inspired you to now pursue a college degree? Now you're leading organizations. Now you're fighting a fight. But it all started from this. It all started when the world did not see you and I in the truest potential. Even when I looked in the mirror, many years ago in prison, I would look myself in the mirror and I would cry. But when I started focusing on healing my past pain, oh man, I heard the brother Baraka. That's my wife's name. So when I heard the brother named Baraka, I was like, all right, Baraka, all right, meaning blessing. Right? But after all these years, that brother was still able to speak about how he was able to heal from his past pain. Yeah. If a lot of us in this room were formerly incarcerated, if we didn't heal from our past pain, we would not be able to sit in this room today and do the work that we're doing. It is through healing we became the people that we are today. It is through healing we sought forgiveness. Through healing we develop empathy. Through healing we understand compassion. Through healing we brought about growth. That's why we celebrate this community of people. That's why the lawmakers, when you look around and you say, why should we fight or why should we change the parole system? Why should we grant parole to life? Or why should we give these individuals a second chance? Because you're looking at people who've been in these places and look where we are today. That's why we say give someone with a life sentence or give someone parole who have been in prison for 40, 50 years. Give these individuals freedom because they have healed from their past pain. They have not taken accountability for the actions in which led to their incarceration. They have not taken accountability for everything that led to that pain. Finding your voice. The beauty, I remember reading this story when I was in prison about this metaphor of the caterpillar, the cocoon, and the butterfly. Oh, it came from Naeem Akbar's book, Human Transformation. when Dena mentioned that we all go through a transformation. He said some of us will die in the cocoon, and some of us will live in the cocoon. Some of us will emerge out of the cocoon. Some of us will find our voice in the cocoon. That's what incarceration was for me, and for many of you in this room who are leaders. You found your voice in the cocoon. You found life in the cocoon. You found leadership in the cocoon. Some died, but you found life. You found your voice. You would ask me, Lester, would you ever be a person that would get on the stage and be able to engage an audience of people? I would have told you, hell no. This is not my thing. But what happened is inside of during my incarceration, I ate the right things. I created a different environment to allow me to heal, which allowed me to find my voice, which allowed me to be able to emerge out of the cocoon like some of you in this room right now today. See, the thing about this cocoon is that the caterpillar doesn't eat the right leaves at a certain time. It will be able not to be able to spin the weave or the net or the thing that right there to hold it to give it life. Because in that it lives. Within it eats and it survives. You all who are formerly incarcerated, you and I ate the right things while we were in prison. We created a different environment. We became leaders in that environment. We read the right books. We said the right prayer. We built the right relationships. In that cocoon, many people said you were going to die in prison. That in that cocoon, you was not supposed to find your voice. You was not supposed to find anything other than becoming so institutionalized that when you emerge out of that system, you would not be able to function in the capacity which you are able to function. We ate the right things while we were there. We created the environment. We were leaders before the world ever saw us as leaders. We were teachers before the world even saw us as teachers. We were speakers before the world ever saw us. The world only saw our felony conviction, which was that caterpillar. But while they were focusing on the caterpillar, they didn't see the potential that caterpillar has. And in that, we created this cocoon. Some of us sat there for 30 years in that cocoon. Some of us sat there for 20 years. Some of us sat there for 40, 50 years in that cocoon. But in that cocoon, it preserved us. In that cocoon, it gave us a voice. And here we are today. With that being said, I want you just to understand that this is what it's all about here. I want you all who are formerly incarcerated, for those who are working in this space, saying that we advocate for the prison population, we want to change policies. I want you to keep this in your head to think that use this metaphor of the caterpillar, the cocoon, the butterfly. In this, mindset shifts. That caterpillar no longer sees himself as a caterpillar, he sees himself as a what? Butterfly. Mindset shift. You no longer allow your felony conviction to define who you are. I'm a formerly incarcerated person. You don't want to give me a job, so what? And they said we're going to create more jobs. We're going to create entrepreneurship. We're going to create our own organization. We're going to do everything that we need to do to change the narrative. That's mindset shift. I'm no longer a caterpillar anymore. I'm now the true butterfly that has emerged out of the cocoon. In my wings, I'm able to soar. I'm able to fly. I'm able to make impact in the lives of the people I come in contact with. For those who are working for the fight, who's in the fight, who's fighting for justice. Remember, mindset shift. And when we empower formerly, when we stop respecting these people and stop seeing them as just that felony conviction, and seeing them as human beings with potential to be great leaders, we start seeing the mind shift not only in the individual, we see social narrative begins to change. Like right now, what we just talked about, all of these various bills have been passed here in Michigan. What is the result? Who was the lead pushing these bills? The voice of who? We in the church. The voice of who? People who have been impacted by the system bringing about change. They're the ones that bring about the true change in our system today, with the assistance of those who have a passion to see change. Mindset shift. You see that example there. All of you in this room, whether you've been incarcerated or not, we all represent this. You all in this room represent the caterpillar. You all represent the cocoon. You all are in your own unique space right now. And it's up to you to continue to grow and have a mind shift so that you can continue to celebrate growth for you and for your family, for your legacy. In closing, just wanted to again just share. Go back for a minute. This is this. This is this. Celebrate that, brothers and sisters. Celebrate that. That's what has happened. See, you discovered purpose. Now you're able to fly. You're no longer crawling. The caterpillar, part of its nature, is to crawl on the ground and eat. That's how it survived for that time. That's not its internal life. Like your intention was not to sit in a prison cell all your life. We were molded and shaped for a reason. Your time in prison, yes, has been a long sentence, but you've been created for a time for such as this today. Because now you've found your voice, you've healed from your past pain, you discovered purpose. And when you discover purpose, there ain't nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. So I encourage you all to continue to celebrate your growth, your success, your failures, your mistakes. Continue to celebrate and continue to lift each other up. Because as I said, as a community of formerly incarcerated people, we can identify with what I'm talking about a little more than someone who's never been there. But I appreciate y'all understanding and want to join this fight with us. But man, it ain't nothing like if you ain't never washed your underwears in the sink or in the toilet, you ain't never had to get down there. You got about 2 underwears, you got to wash that bad boy in the sink or the toilet. The same thing, you urinate and do all that other stuff, you in there washing it out. That's the stuff that we don't talk about in our community, we understand that. So in closing, discover your purpose. You all have discovered that, you have found that. I encourage you all to continue to walk in your purpose, continue to do the things that you do. In closing, like I said, this is a man with a vision. I started as an inmate, 1870-18. That's what they say I was defined as. The beauty of this story today, as they say, I don't look nothing like this man anymore. Thank you, Adam. Right? And you, in closing, you don't look like that man or that woman who took that inmate, that ID, that photo, that was one of the most humiliating times for you. We all now celebrate having a vision, and we walked out of prison with that vision, and we're celebrating that. So in closing, clap it up for yourself. Let's stand up. Celebrate each other. Continue to do what you do. Let's stand up. And we don't celebrate each other enough. We don't celebrate each other enough. We don't celebrate each other enough. And we got to keep celebrating each other to let us know it's okay. I love y'all, Detroit. Detroit, what it do? Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.
All I got to say is wow. Wow. Stay out of this. I've been around a lot of formerly incarcerated people in this last 20 months. But I got to say, that is the first time I've heard anybody talk about washing their drawers in the toilet.
He got it mastered. He got the tone down and everything. Baby! Baby! What happened to my cocoon? Who messed with my cocoon? I appreciate that though, brother. For sure. I mean, that was absolutely inspiring. I don't think I've ever thought of my life in that form of evolution. But to see the illustration and match it with where I started to where I am now, job well done. John and Kate, back to the stage, please. I'm sorry, John and Anna. Excuse me, my bad. I had a Steve Harvey moment, y'all, my bad.
No one I'd rather be confused with, so it's good. In good company. Wow. I don't feel like I even belong up here talking anymore because that was just the perfect way to kind of wrap up this celebration. But as this celebration comes to a close, I want to thank all of this evening's honored participants and speakers. Thank you, Ken, for being our MC. He does weddings now too, so just one side. Yeah. You get a 2-for-1 deal if you know the right people. I want to thank Ron Bretz, who had to run off for our musical stylings this evening. I want to thank Daryl Woods for his reflections. I want to thank Representative Yancey. I want to thank Tony Gant. I want to thank Joe Whalen and Nate Johnson for all of your leadership and your continued partnership. A huge thank you to the amazing Lester Young. What a model of servant leadership. I especially want to acknowledge those in the room who have partnered with us and supported us in our efforts to make a safer and more just Michigan, including, but not limited to, Michigan Liberation, Nation Outside, Michigan Advocacy Program, Fresh Coast Alliance, AFSC Michigan, Michigan Faith in Action, Michigan Indian Legal Services, Lakeshore Legal Aid, Legal Aid Services of Eastern Michigan, Campaign for Fair Sentencing of Youth, the State Appellate Defender's Office and Project Reentry, and many more represented in this room and among our membership. A special thank you to our sponsors for this evening, Hope Network, MySemi, Main Street Legislative Consulting, Wayne State School of Social Work, Michigan Faith in Action, and MCYJ. For a few final acknowledgments, John?
Yeah, thank you. So last but not least, we want to thank our staff, Safe and Just Michigan. I think several of whom have been up here, but not everybody. So colleagues, please stand or wave your hand when I say your name. But okay, so first, our newly minted Chief Operating Officer, Kate, in the back. In the front here, our Grants Manager, Cecilia Zavala. Our Office Manager, Veronica French, who is at the back. Much of this event happened due to Veronica, so thank you. We have our Clean Slate Program Manager here, Kamau Sandiford. Yeah. We have our Senior Communications Specialist, Barbara Wieland, who's been around with the camera. Our Senior Policy Analyst, Josh Ho. Check out his podcast. We have our Senior Research Specialist, Cassie LaRue. Hey, Cassie. You guys already met Ronnie, Ronnie Waters. In the back, sorry. Thanks, Ronnie. You met Ashley, our social media specialist, as well. And of course, our longest tenured staff member, Dena, who we'll try to embarrass even more. We also have Fund Development Fellows to thank, Kimberly Woodson and Scott Tompkins. And finally, I want to thank Felicia Tyson Waters, who is our Clean Slate Program Fellow this past year. I did a bunch of helping out. So thanks to all of you. It's a privilege to work with such bright, dedicated, passionate people. It really does make all the difference day to day. Like having colleagues who really care and really work hard. So thank you guys.
The next people we'd like to introduce is Cecilia Zavala, Safe and Just Michigan's grant manager, Kimberly Woodson, and Scott Thompson.
What an excellent evening this was. I'm just so inspired and full. I feel full. I'm new to the organization. Again, I'm Cecilia Zavala. I'm the grants manager here at Safe and Just. And I am a directly impacted person. I have a couple felonies. And I didn't ever imagine that I'd have the opportunity that I do now, especially working with our Fund Development Fellows. One of my skills is obviously grant writing. And it is an honor and a privilege to be able to pass that skill along to my peers. Scott and Kimberly. Growing up, I was taught you're blessed so that you can be a blessing to others. And being able to share the skills that I have with other justice impacted people to take the opportunity to grow their organizations, write grants, raise funds is so humbling. And so with that, I'd like to pass it on to, actually, Scott. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I'm from up north, way up north of Michigan. So when I leave here today, I get to drive about 4 hours to get home. Whoop, whoop. So what up, doe? I think we need that up north because we're pretty staid and pretty conservative and buttoned down. So anyway, we might have to start that, Bonnie, at the next meeting. We do have Nation Outside is up north now as well. So hallelujah. So anyway, I just wanted to say real quickly that what I come away with what Ken was saying earlier about hope, especially in a community way up north. I'm working with men coming out of the Grand Traverse County Jail. Some of them have been to prison, they've been back out, now they're back in jail or whatever. And the thing I can take back is from being with this group of talented and dedicated and passionate people, I have hope. And I hope to translate that to the folks that I'm working with up there, because that's real key to give those people some opportunity to be engaged with some of the fine organizations we have represented here today. And so I'm going to stop babbling and bring on the divine Miss Kimberly Woodson.
Good evening, everyone. All evening, we've been hearing stories about overcoming. I could tell y'all that I'm the only female juvenile lifer here. I could tell y'all that I did almost 30 years. But that ain't what I want to talk about tonight. What I want to talk about is the future. My past is the past. I'm looking forward to the future. I have a wonderful opportunity that Safe and Just gave me. See, I came home from a life sentence in 2017. I jumped straight into a nonprofit called Redeeming Kimberly because I wanted to be the help. And it helped me start that. However, I was in it heart first, and I had no skills. And you need skills and knowledge, not just love. This opportunity gives me the knowledge to match my love, to be able to get the funding to take Redeeming Kimberly to the next level. You see, everybody keeps saying, Kim, pick somewhere to focus. My heart is big. I'm going to focus everywhere. Where there's harm, I'm going to be there to fix it. Where there is hate, I'm going to be there with love. And where there's poverty, I got the knowledge now to be there with the funds. I'm asking you as individuals to help me train the next ones that's coming out. It's not cheap. Doesn't come easy. It's going to be a wonderful experience for the next individual. So I'm asking you to reach into your heart, reach into your wallets. It's a card on the table. If those who want to give out cash, take cash today. We got a wonderful envelope. You can write us a check. But please, be inspired so that the next person won't be standing here saying, I'm the only female juvenile lifer. Please help me reach the next one. Reach into your heart and your wallet and help us support the next funders, the next ones that's going to learn to write grants, the next ones that's going to reach back and heal their community. Redeeming Kimberly, I heal my community one returning neighbor at a time. Why don't you help me?
One more round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. One more. So in just a second, Kate will start passing around the tithe basket. So just, it's coming your way. Just sit still. Don't move. It's coming to you. I noticed something when they were up here just a second ago. And you know, I'm just going to say it. I hope ain't nobody in here on parole, because you in a room full of fellas. But, that said, we got quite a few lawyers in the room, so you good. And a judge. And a judge. And a judge. Hold on. I feel like I need to identify a lawyer too. Jonathan, raise your hand. Just in case. Just in case. Everybody on the safe side. If anything goes wrong tonight, talk to that guy. That being said, as we bring the night to a close, we've heard a lot tonight from a lot of different organizations, a lot of different people that have been impacted. This has been a moving night on many different levels. Many different levels. I appreciate everybody showing up. And I don't just mean physically. People showed up. The presenters, the people that spoke today, people showed up. That's something that not many people can say these days. Not very many people can say that they've got the help and the support like we have in this room right now. This is what large-scale reform looks like. For everybody in this room, everybody, even that guy back there controlling the cameras, everybody in this room, there's someone in a cage right now that needs your help. Everybody can't do everything, but you can do something. No matter how big or how small, you can do something. Think about that as we wrap this up tonight. You can do something. Our last presenter, presenter. Closing prayer will be done by Gary Ashby tonight.
Thank you, Ken. It's been one of the blessings of my life to have served on the board of Safe and Just Michigan for 20 years. With the length of 20 winters. And as I look around tonight, I see some people that I've worked with for 20 years. But what is much more heartening is to see how many new people that I have not seen before, and to hear about the multitude of lively, percolating organizations that are beating the drum for justice. So let us pray. Merciful Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather this evening. We thank you for the new friends made and the old friendships renewed. And we thank you for the many inspired words we have heard. As we begin our time of fellowship right after this, continue to bless us with your Holy Spirit. And as we return to our communities, continue to give us a thirst for justice. Bless those in our prisons and jails. Renew their hopes. Heal their hurts. And merciful Father, let justice roll down like a mighty river, and righteousness like a flowing stream. Bless all the drum majors for justice that are gathered here. With hope and faith, we make this prayer.
That was the end of our event. If anybody wants to book me for a wedding, please talk to Brandy. To be clear, they didn't give me a script. I came up here with a list of names, and I just winged the rest of it. So, everybody enjoy your nights. Get home safely.